This is the Roadrunner Pro battery. I just took the scooter for a ride and went through a full battery on it. When I opened up the battery, I could smell a really strong smell of electrical. It smells like it got pretty hot in there. The this wire, this 10 gauge wire that goes to the controllers, it's one 10 gauge wire, one red and one black. That's feeding both controllers, or however many controls. I think it has two controllers in it. Whether it be one or two controllers, it has two motors, so there's two controllers, whether it be in one housing or two separate housings. It seems to me these wires need to be probably twice. It probably needs like two 10 gauge wires, or just a much thicker wire in there. It didn't melt. It can handle it. It can handle this. You know, like you can see, it's not melting, but it did get hot. I like when the wires stay cool. The battery's very, very warm. That tells me that this load is taxing the battery, and I wasn't even pushing the scooter to the limits. I was just cruising at a good speed, but I wasn't racing it. I was just cruising around. But I would say that this is a 60 volt battery nominal, 66 fully charged. I think that this Roadrunner Pro could benefit from having a much higher voltage battery. I would say 84 volts nominal, 95 volts fully charged. I always say both numbers because that way people that don't know a lot about this, including myself, understand what we're talking about. Because a 72 volt nominal system charges at 84 volts when it's fully charged. 84 volt nominal is 95 volts fully charged. And a 95 volt nominal is like 105 volts or something like that, close to that. But this could benefit from that higher voltage, and it wouldn't draw so many amps. Higher voltage permits the same load with a lot less amperage and less heat. That's what we want. We really want less heat, right? That's for the motors, for the controllers, for everything. And if the price goes up, then maybe there could be two different models, one like this, and then a model for people that want to push the scooter more. Even though I really wasn't pushing it that hard. I don't think I was pushing it that hard. I pushed the Dualtrons really, really hard, and they do very well. That's a 95 volt battery right there. Dualtron Storm Limited, 95 volts fully charged. I could run that thing like racing it, and it just stays cool, ambient temperature. I could also charge it at 30 amps, and that's still within specification. But yeah, the Roadrunner Pro is a great scooter, a lot of fun. As you can see, I just rode it. I'm not riding the Dualtron right now. I wanted to ride this. It's so fun to sit down and just go through the mountains, ride everywhere. Part of the reason I took to open this up is I want to see how the battery's doing. This is telling me a lot, though. This heat tells me that the battery, even if I didn't fast charge it, and I'm just the way it's discharging, that's really hard on the battery when it gets hot like that. Even though it's they say it's normal, right? So it's normal for a battery to get hot when you discharge it fast, but to charge it fast is not okay. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's hard on the battery to discharge it fast and to charge it fast. This kind of battery, we're using old technology here. This technology is so outdated. It's lower cost, I understand that, but graphene is the tech we need to be using right now. Graphene is long overdue to be used. There's no reason to not use it now. There's no reason to not use graphene. Graphene would not be heating up like this. Now, of course, we want to use thicker wires, right? Now, part of the reason I open this up is I want to charge this. My research and study indicate that I should be able to charge these little wires. These little wires, it's 18 gauge, 80 Celsius. That's what this can handle. And let's see what my numbers indicate here. 80 Celsius is 176 Fahrenheit. I really don't want to be heating my wires up to 176 degrees, but at that temperature, which is close to these numbers, that's about 18 or 19 amps that I should be able to put in there, and that should be still within specification for those wires. I don't know how hot I'm getting these wires because they cool off by the time I open this up, but I could smell a strong smell of like an odor of like ionization, right? It doesn't smell like burning, it just smells like electrical. It's hard to explain what that is. You ever opened up a motor that's been used a lot? I once opened up an M365 motor, a Xiaomi M365, and you could just smell this really, really strong smell of like electrical. Nothing was burned in there, it just had this electrical smell, right? That's the way I'll describe it. Not a burning smell, but like an ionization or charged, maybe highly charged particles. I'm just saying it that way because that's what it smelled like. I guess you could call it like maybe an ozone smell, possibly. That might be one way of describing it. So I'm going to let the battery cool off before I charge it. I was taught that it's really good to let batteries cool off before you charge them. So we'll make another video charging that. I'm going to see if I can put 18 amps in it. I'm going to watch the wires, make sure they're not melting. Because I want to know what the limits are of how fast I can charge it. That's the purpose of my test right now. What's the limit of what I can do so that if I'm riding in a group ride and I need to recharge my scooter because I have, you know, I'm riding it fast and so I can only get like maybe half the range out of it, right? If I'm going fast, how many miles can I go? So it can go 50 miles if we go slower, but if I'm going fast and pushing the limits of the scooter, maybe it'll go closer to half of that range, right? So I might have to charge it quickly. And then I want to know what the limits are. So I have the Roger charger, which will allow me to charge. It'll allow me to charge the battery at a power that is closer to or at the limits of what the cells can actually accept, right? I always want to know what that is. Now, I really am interested in switching to graphene, and I recommend asking for graphene when you're shopping for your electric bike or anything you buy, whether it be an electric unicycle, electric bike, anything that takes batteries. I would ask for graphene. Graphene has a greater energy density. What does that mean? Greater energy density means, my understanding of greater energy density is that it's, I think that means for the weight, right? This will be it'd be easy to find out what they mean by that. But per the weight, I think it means that for the same weight of a battery, if you have lithium compared to graphene, the graphene battery is going to have more capacity for the same amount of weight. I think that's what that's talking about. Greater energy density, holds more energy. That's good, because I had thought that it was the other way around, and maybe that's a new development. Maybe that's what's changed in the past 15 years when I was first introduced to graphene and told that it would be changing the world in just a couple years, right? 20 years ago, I was told by NASA researchers, I mean really high level engineers, that graphene would be everywhere in maximum 6 years. Okay, so where is it? Well, I think we're so distracted by all the new, we're always talking about, oh, this new battery, this 1,000,000-mile battery, this other battery, this battery, that battery, this battery, that battery. I mean, that's great, but it's just like I talk about with perpetual motion. Now remember, language is for the user, right? Language is for the user. That means that perpetual motion does not have to mean that something has to run without ever maintaining it. No one means that when they build a machine that keeps running. It still needs maintenance. Everyone that builds these machines, these 0-point modules, I'll call them 0-point modules that interact with the ether, with the vacuum of space-time. And guess what? That's where all of our energy comes from anyway. So when people say, oh, we're not using it yet, right? Or the race to 0-point energy, we're using it already. I'm using it right now when I walk on the floor. How come we're not falling through the floor? Right? Gravity waves, tachyon waves, virtual particle flux fields, dark energy, dark matter, cosmic energy, Dirac sea, the Dirac sea of energy, right? Gravity waves, right? This is already light. It's already powering up the lights. It's the energy that's stored in batteries. We're using the energy. We're just going to use it in a more efficient way with pulses, right? Do those pulses have current in them? Yes. The current actually is delivered before the voltage. The meters can't read that, so we need amps times volts to get watts, but because we can't read the current because it's pulsing, which means no resistance, right? Or almost immeasurable resistance, meaning we cannot even measure it, it's so low. Our meters can't measure it, and then it just gets thrown out, right? So a good perpetual motion machine is one that needs maintenance. A perfect perpetual motion machine, if we just say it that way, right? If we're going to call it perfection, it never needs maintenance. And I only know of the nature's electron that achieves that, right? The electron moves in an infinity symbol, and it's electron pairs created by the sun. So if the universe is a closed system and energy cannot be made or destroyed, then the universe is the perfect perpetual motion machine. But if the universe is a good perpetual motion machine, which means it gets its energy from somewhere else, but is still self-maintaining, right? Is it still self-maintaining? Or is it getting its energy from somewhere else and also powering, sending energy to that same place that it gets it from, right? Because matter can charge the zero-point fields, and the zero-point fields can charge the material universe, right? These are theories, right? Thought experiments. So going back to the battery, let's see what the limits are on this. I'll go ahead and plug that in after this is cooled off, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye everyone. Remember, good does not have to be the enemy of perfection. I think I said that correctly. They don't have to be enemies. We can use good. Oh, and graphene is good. So we could use, we can have perpetual motion machines that get their energy from the environment, just like solar panels, just like wind turbines. Okay, perpetual motion machines are the exact same thing. And I'm talking about perpetual motion machines that need the bearings changed, they need maintenance, but they can keep running. Everyone knows about the magnet motors that spin, right? Those have been proven for so long now. We all are trying, everyone's trying to figure out how they work, and they have all these magnets and how to arrange the magnets and everything. But, and some people figure it out. But it looks like, pulsing is a very good way to charge a battery. And I'm still learning about that too, because there's different ways to pulse things. G Batteries has achieved it, but it looks like everything's going to private industry. Again, I'm using those words. I'm not sure those are the correct words to use, but I just know the public can't buy their technology. But they are working with manufacturers throughout the world. And if you're a manufacturer, you can work with them. I think they're open to working with companies, but it can't be, I don't think the customers can, I don't think we can buy it. I cannot buy that kind of charger for this. But the good news is I'm not even interested, how do I say this? I'm more interested in graphene than I am getting a G batteries charger system. I'm interested in understanding the theory of G batteries. Right, I want to understand the theory of it, which I study that. You can study their patents, 45 patents they applied for. You can study those. It's open for everybody to study. You just Google search it on the internet, right? G batteries 45 patents, or G batteries patents, or patents. Yeah, just look up different keywords for G batteries, and they have their own way of describing what's taking place, and they're doing it. Now, a lot of people say that can't be done, and it's still impossible, but when I talked to the company, they said a lot of people told them that in the beginning, and then they showed them that they could really do it, and they were independently, tested and proven, and then they got a lot of apologies after that. So, but you'd have to contact them and talk with them yourself if you have questions about how that can be done. I mean, meaning how they can achieve that kind of charging system. But with graphene, we can still use the same charging methods. We can just use the chargers we have. That's my understanding, if they're powerful enough. I mean, we can use the same, I think it's called constant current, constant voltage, but double check for yourself the names of that. But I'm just saying that we don't have to have that special pulsing charging for the graphene. We can just charge it normally, and the batteries have such low resistance that they just take a charge really fast. And, if lithium has a 1,000 cycle life, discharge cycle life, graphene has 20,000 to 30,000 cycle life. That's much better. So, things like graphene will happen if we ask for it, and manufacturers can deliver that if they focus on it and they know that you want it, right? because I think manufacturers, from what I can find in my research and study, they're just like, sometimes we pass right by a solution, right? We just pass right by it. And graphene's this great solution. It's really good. It's a good solution, but yet manufacturers are still testing. There's always like this big thing about a new battery. There's always this new battery, right? Always. There's always a new research, new battery. It's the one. This is it, and that's fine. But meanwhile, can we please use graphene? Because we're still using lithium, right? We're still using lithium. So it's a thought, and maybe we can all start manufacturing graphene ourselves. Maybe, and that might be another way to do it. See about just manufacturing it ourselves and making it. I don't know if we can make it ourselves, but we can have it manufactured ourselves, and maybe we just need a lot more companies manufacturing it. I know there's already a lot of companies that manufacture it, and I'm researching that too as well, because maybe I can just buy one. I'm trying to get a quote from G Batteries, but they wrote me once and asked for specifications, and I just haven't heard back from them. So if I hear anything, I'll let you know. But they have not gotten back to me with like a pricing and stuff like that. But I already have an idea of what the pricing is, but I just want to get an exact price for this scooter, for example, for this Roadrunner Pro. I'd like to see about just replacing what's in there, and maybe a higher amp hour, but ideally a higher voltage and a higher amp hour battery, right? I want both. I would like both, because I just love high voltage. I love it. So I'm also considering, as an experiment, putting this 95 volt 45 amp hour battery, if it'll fit, putting that in there, okay? Because my research and study indicate that those controllers in there, and please confirm this for yourself, do not do what I'm saying right now. I'm just saying this is what I have to confirm this, but that the controllers can handle, I think I was told they can handle 120 volts. That's a lot of voltage. Can you imagine? Now, it makes sense in a way, because electric unicycles, if you look at electric unicycles, those electric unicycles are up to like 168 volts right now. 4,800 amp hours. This my Dualtron Storm Limited is 45 amp hours at 95 volts, which is I think 3,860 watt hours. The electric unicycle, a one-wheel electric unicycle, I think it's called a Begode Master V2, has a 4,800 watt hour battery. I cannot believe it. I'm amazed by that. I love it. And I'm considering switching, maybe not switching, but also getting an electric unicycle. I don't think I should get the Begode Master V2 for my first unicycle, because I would probably destroy it learning how to ride it. But maybe I'll start out with something inexpensive and just learn how to balance and everything, and then just be saving up for the Begode Master. I don't know if it's called a Master Pro or just a Begode Master V2. I don't recall at the moment, but it's the one that has the 4,800 watt hour battery in it at 100 and over 100 volts, well over 100 volts. I don't know if that one's 168 volts, but it's a high voltage. I don't know the exact voltage, but it's well over 100 volts, which is great. And I'm just thinking that the manufacturers of the electric unicycles, I would really like if one of them would use those drive systems. I mean, maybe they could put two of those controllers in a scooter, right? Imagine having two of those 168 volt controllers in the Roadrunner Pro, and then a really big battery in here, right? Really big battery in here. And because I sit so far, I actually sit back here. As you can see, I move the handlebars back. I spun this around. This usually goes up here, but I spun it around and then just turned the handlebars with the correct orientation. And I like the handlebars coming back to me, so I sit at this edge right here. I sit right here. But if you look where the wheel is, that means I'm almost doing wheelies all the time. That it just wants to do wheelies, right? So I have the controller set for acceleration on level 1 on every gear. So even the 5th gear, the highest gear, still has level 1 acceleration on the front wheel. That way it doesn't spin out. Because even on acceleration number 2 in 5th gear, the front wheel is still spinning. So it's really not even noticeable now. Now it does pretty well. But what I was going to say was that because I'm sitting back here, if I was to put a larger battery in this, I would want to put the weight as far forward as possible to help hold that front end down. to balance it out better, you know. And it's good to have the weight low, and I want it forward, right? But I also don't know if it's good, the whole idea of speed wobbles. This thing's totally stable. I haven't had it speed wobble at all, but I don't know if we start putting a lot of weight on the front, if that would contribute to speed wobbles. I'm not sure if it's high weight in the front or low weight, light, you know, when it's too light, that makes it speed wobble. I think it's when there's too much weight up there, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that could be confirmed for yourself. Anyway, let's see how the battery's feeling. It's definitely cooling off, but I'm not going to rush that. I want it to get close to ambient temperature so I can notice, is it heating up when I'm doing the different current levels when I'm charging it. So surprisingly, this is the older Roger charger. I think this is what's called the V3. I think that's what this is. But surprisingly, when I charge my scooters, my Dualtron Storm Limited and the Dualtron Thunder 2, maybe because the voltage is so low, like on this one is 95 volts. See, these chargers, the gentleman that makes these, or that has these made, in the beginning he was making them, and I think now he has someone make them for him. And he just came out with 2 new chargers too, if I understand correctly. One of them's a 4 kilowatt charger. Imagine that. I think I've had this up to 2,500 watts, and that's what I wanted to say, was I can bring this up to 25 amps. This is rated, if I understand correctly, at 15 amps. But maybe because I'm using only 95 volts at fully charged, it lets me go to 25 amps. That might be why. I don't know, and I haven't asked Roger. I just know it works at 25 amps, and I'm happy with that. It lets me charge both scooters, the Thunder 2, the Storm, the Thunder, the Dualtron Thunder 2 and the Storm Limited at 25 amps. This can take up to 30 amps, if I understand correctly, and that one can take up to 27 amps, the Thunder 2, based on what it appears the cells are. But I'm not recommending anyone charge at those rates. But I have said repeatedly, I'm starting to say this more and more, but that the gentleman that makes this charger, or has this charger made, the gentleman that sells these, the people that ride the electric unicycles, they tend to charge at really high power because they don't have time to sit all day and wait for their batteries to charge. You know, can you imagine waiting for a battery to charge for hours when you want to go, when your plan was to go riding, you know, on the weekend? You get a big group together, you all want to go riding together. Imagine everyone sitting there waiting for the battery to charge. That's not, I just want to say maybe it's not realistic. That might be the way to describe it. So there's a demand for powerful chargers, and clearly a demand for pushing the batteries close to the capacity or of what their abilities are, right? I'm going to say it that way, you know. But there's a lot of people on the internet. It's just like if we talk about UFOs or free energy, there's a lot of people like actively on the internet that will just like jump when someone says a word about any of that. You're just like, it's almost like thought police or something. I started to call it happiness police, where they just they're like, oh, someone's happy, make sure they're not happy, you know. You know, and they just attack you. And I was talking with someone that there was a documentary I watched where kids were getting attacked a lot on the internet, children. And kids would take their lives. They were taking their lives. They were committing suicide because they didn't know how to deal with what they were feeling. And no one should be treated bad like that. Everyone deserves encouragement, understanding, appreciation, being listened to. Philosophers that study thinking and thought have described how it's difficult for us to listen to someone if we ourselves have never been listened to. So if we grew up with parents and an environment, as well as parents, that never listened to us, then it can be really hard to just sit and listen to someone and be interested in what someone's sharing. But that counseling can help with that, right? Counselors will listen to you, and then you get to have that experience, and they call that reparenting sometimes, right? That's something that could happen. So it allows us to be more loving and caring to other people instead of bullying people, right? So I'm not blaming parents, I'm not blaming people, but we all have a responsibility to mature ourselves to our capacity to love both ourselves and others, right? Because they always say love yourself first, but people are like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Do I just buy myself a new car? Do I buy myself a toy? What does love myself mean, right? And, you know, people that say that, they walk around saying that, you have to like explain what that means. And maybe they don't even know. Maybe people just know that word because they read it in the book. They know that sentence, but they don't actually know what it looks like to love themselves, right? I think loving oneself is well, gosh, it's probably very subjective, meaning it's probably very on a very individual basis. But it's definitely worthy of something to look into, though, right? Because we want to be able to share love among each other, right? Meaning to show receptivity, to be receptive to people, not attack people, not put people down. It'd be really nice if I could leave the comments on the channel and reply to people, but because of the content in the nature of the channel, which is kind of like maybe I'll just call it new ways of looking at the ancient universe, right? You know, we're walking around. Someone was saying that, you know, our human brains want to define everything, and so we say this is how the universe works, and this is what we can do and what we can't do. This is what we can and can't do. But, you know, the universe might have other ideas, right? Because the fact of the matter is, the greatest minds on this planet in history have shared that we live in an infinite possibility universe. And not just infinite possibility, but infinite inevitability. Meaning it's going to happen given enough time. And the imagination is like a time machine. So how quickly do you want something to happen? We focus on it. We set our minds to it, right? That's how we were taught, right? A lot of us were taught that way. And we share that with one another, right? Because we try to help each other. So we share that idea with one another that, you know, set your mind to it and you can achieve anything. And we have a responsibility, a humanitarian responsibility, to set our mind to things that are not destructive, but are collaborative, right? Like worldwide solution-oriented collaboration, so we can stop fighting, right? Because we have to stop fighting. Think about it. The weapons have already been powerful enough on all sides to destroy the planet many times over, right? So we can't use weapons that just will destroy all life and destroy everything. And we shouldn't even be using weapons to cause harm to each other, right? We should be finding new ways continuously to problem solve, to de-escalate, and to learn how to collaborate, right? And just keep creating new ways to do that. Not new ways to destroy each other. That's absolutely terrible. And that has a dead end, right? Complete dead end. There's nowhere to go with that. So, but what's endlessly open is how we solve problems, right? So I'm always going to talk about this because it's important. I actually can't not talk about it. I don't know if I said that right. I have to talk about it because it's like on my mind, right? And it's important. Yeah. So like, you know, like I often say, like, what's the good of having a scooter if there's no world to ride it through? We have to have a planet, and we have to have people that are here, right? We want to be here in a healthy life. So anyway, we'll see you in the next video. This is cooling off, and we'll see you in the next video when we try charging that. Okay, see you soon. Bye.